Welcome, welcome, welcome. Coffee with Joe and Paul. Here we go. Here we go. The concept of safety.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it? How do we achieve it? What gets in its way? So, what we're looking to explore here, and it may shift as we go through this 15 minutes, is what comes up for us? What are some ways that we can explore this in a way that is conducive to our being, our mind, our body, our spirit?
Oh man, that's so individualized. What practices will have us feeling safer or feeling less need for this intellectual conceptualization of safety? Like,
Mm,
we could throw out some stuff we do or stuff we've assigned to clients recently. But
yeah.
I want to say that already. It's like, ooh, I don't know. I feel scared recommending things because I feel that's really individualized to the person.
That's a good point.
No,
That's a good
I don't
point,
want
Joe.
to unintentionally, indirectly cause harm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
brother, appreciate that, man, and thank you
right.
for that. Joe, let's get into because this came up. Let's take a couple minutes each and just go into how
Sure.
this came up for us. So at least like we give people that are watching this the heads up as to what this is and why we're even talking about this. So you want to give us a couple minutes, man, on why this came up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things happened, recently for me is last week I was on staff for this training that was specifically a weekend for and mostly by men that are gay, bi, trans, or queer identifying. And I am a straight guy identifying, one of the few that were on this whole entire weekend of 60 something total men. Um, and the issue of safety for a lot of these men in their lives was a core central topic and theme. I learned so much
Mm,
about what it means for people to feel safe or not safe in space, in certain spaces. And then additionally, I last week was talking to probably someone who's going to be a new client here shortly, potential new client. And this client was talking about they had just realized they'd done all this work on their weight and it never comes off. And when it does come off, it comes back. And they're finally in their 50s realizing it's because somehow part of them's not safe. And now
mm,
intellectually, everything about their life is very safe. But this person still didn't feel safe in a lot of spaces. They didn't feel safe with people like where they couldn't be themselves. They hid a lot growing up. And so they've
mm,
still carried that message. And then I even got a massage last week in this beautiful place called Freed Body Works in DC. I highly recommend it. By a trans woman who we were talking about safety for men. And it was amazing because here's this human who's a bridge, grew up in a male body, always identified, I'm assuming, as a woman, and then transitioned, and had this powerful understanding of safety for men or the lack thereof, and
mm,
how we can be intellectually safe, but the body doesn't want to let go. So it's just to me
mm,
this fascinating exploration of connection between mind and body, connection between cultures and safety and allyship and transformative relationship. And like, it just felt like a really rich conversation to have because so much of what I do, whether it's on the health side or the love side or even the career side with my clients, ultimately it's about safety. They come each week going, I'm having this problem, AKA something doesn't feel safe to do,
right,
or else I'd just be doing it. you know,
right.
I haven't figured this out because I think I need to know all the answers before I take a step because I don't want to be unsafe, right? Like we're always dealing with fear, which means we're always dealing with the conceptualization of safety. So that was a whole lot. I understand. There are so many threads here, but
Right.
how did it come up for you recently?
Well, I was in I participated in a weekend for an organization called All Kings, which is focused on the healing of trauma or generational trauma for men of color that have been in the jail system, prison systems, and really helping them get acclimated to society, to being a positive contribution to society for themselves and for their family.
Yeah.
And as being a man of color, being a black man, one of the things that came up that I started really that I recognize is as a gift for me is my anger. And while it may be a gift for me, I recognize that it is not a gift for everyone else. And that brought up a space for me specifically last week with a group that I was in, where I was exploring my anger and sitting with my anger, so I can practice what I call emotional mobility, And I recognized that it triggered others in a way that made them sick or had them feeling a certain way, had them triggered. And I recognized it brought up the concept of safety. And my mentor, John Tompkins, talks about, he talks about thoughts, feelings, wants, observations as green language. It's about bringing in the frontal cortex, the thinking brain. And he tells me all the time, he's like, safety is not a feeling, Paul. Safety is a thought process. And when he said that, I recognized that for me, I get to be in spaces where I can think I'm safe. And I can really be in that space where a container can hold it. And I recognize that I get to be really particular about where I decide to be vulnerable, where I decide to let myself go, let all of myself be free. And in order to do that, there's an element of safety.
Yeah.
And what you said, that you got from the transgender masseuse, which was great, was we can intellectually think we're safe, right? And the body doesn't let go. And this was a powerful piece, because when he said safety is not a feeling, it's a thought. When I break it down, Joe, I say, well, wow, if I'm thinking I'm not safe, what's the feeling in my body that's telling me so? Is it fear? Is it sadness? What is that I get to explore? And I think that's where we can start to really build this out, because the safety piece, in my view, Joe, is something that a lot of us as a collective can start to dive into, because with everything's going on in the world, in family, in relationship, there is a piece to all of us that requires this perception and thought of safety before we truly give all of ourselves.
Right.
So that's the piece that, so to answer your question, those experiences over the past couple of weeks with the All Kings, and then with the group that I was participating in, those brought up the concept of safety for me. What's safe for me? And then what is safe for others?
Right.
Because if I'm going to be in a healthy relationship, or if I'm going to be in a relationship in the highest form, those are two spaces, Joe, I get to really explore, to be with another and be with myself. It came up for me, man. Yeah, do you have something?
I do. I'm going to say this. I think that I believe most of the people that might watch this video don't identify as feeling unsafe all the time. So in fact, I don't identify as feeling unsafe. I almost always think I'm safe.
Right. Sometimes
my behavior, my actions, my choices, and things my body tells me and shows me and feels actually would indicate that I don't quite feel safe all that often, and I'm acting out of that instead of what my conscious mind thinks. So where I'm thinking is like, let's think about the viewer, the listener, and let's think about men. I think men have a really hard time identifying with the idea of not feeling safe. We're always told that we have to act and look and believe we're safe, and that if anything, we actually have to feel we're safe, so we end up looking like we're dangerous to put a distance from other people, you know what I mean? Whether it's financially powerful, or we're physically dangerous, or, we're up there and we are a managerial role, so we can fire you. It's like there's always this feeling of needing to feel like we can actually inflict harm or danger, which helps us falsely feel safe. But anyway, that's a whole nother.
Wow.
So I'm being long-winded. What I want to say is this. What I'd love to do is take a couple minutes and for us to point out, what would it look like through behavior, through action, through language, if a man was walking around actually not necessarily deep down feeling safety, but they don't look at it that way? Like, what would it look like if you're like, that dude doesn't believe they're safe, but they don't even know it?
Right.
So I'm going to give an example. Let me give one example, right? So one example would be that if somebody states a viewpoint or an idea that's way outside of what I believe, and I get angry or defensive about it,
right
then and there, I'm coming from a place where I'm not safe. If I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
That's bullshit. Let me show you the data.
Right.
That's actually me feeling unsafe. I think that this person's idea, this person's philosophy, this person's belief could violate mine. My worldview of what is the way the world works
Right.
is actually potentially in harm in that moment. So I'm guarding against me having to think differently or see differently or believe differently or invalidate something that I've done in the past.
Yeah.
Right? Right? So like that's an example, and that's a heady one, but like there's a lot of, what do you think about examples of when people are showing up acting like they're unsafe even when they think they're safe?
Oh man, first of all, that's not heady. That's freaking spot on, my man. Spot
Well,
on.
heady.
Yeah, heady, right? So I like what you said. And my view of is anger. Anger is when a man experiences anger, there's a space of, I don't think I'm safe here, so I'm gonna act out to protect myself and regain control. Like
Yes.
I pulled up this thing. Our buddy Jan Hutchins from the Man School, he had a piece where it was a piece about a shaman, and then when they asked the shaman what is anger, and the shaman replied, it's not acceptance of what is beyond our control. If we accept, it becomes tolerance. And
Yeah.
this is a space like anger, violence, like for men especially. My sense is that that's automatically a trigger. They didn't think they were safe in some situation. And I'm going to bring it up. Like when you look at mass shootings and all these things are going on, something in those men felt, I'm not safe, so I'm gonna handle it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna try to gain control in some way. So all of a sudden now my body will feel safe, and then my body will feel a certain way that will have me thinking I'm safe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's a
Wow.
trigger right now.
Woo. Yeah. You know, I want to bring up something wild that's going to blow people's minds.
Hit me with it.
I'm checking my phone all the time. For real. If I'm constantly checking email, I'm always checking Facebook. Two things are happening. You know, one is, am I important? I need to make sure that I'm needed. And I want to feel validated by being busy and important, having lots of shit in my inbox, but then I want connection so I can go complain with my friends about it. And I want likes on my Facebook pictures and Instagram pictures and shares, because then I feel validated. Because if I'm not valid, if I'm not seen by a lot of people, and if I'm not important and needed, and if I'm not busy, then I might not have a lot of value in this culture. Therefore, I'm not safe. They'll leave me behind. But the other thing is just fear of missing out. Like, right. Oh man, I do this. A potential client might have applied, so I need to check my email to see if there's something new in there. And because honestly, I'm thinking if there isn't a steady flow, and then maybe I'm not safe. Okay? Or I'm thinking I might miss an opportunity because I was, I answered a day later.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's actually a function of not feeling safe. Constantly checking our devices, our electronics, our inbox. Could you imagine if somebody, if this was 20 years ago, and every 15 minutes, people were walking up to their answering machine, people were walking up to their mailbox and checking it?
Wow.
You'd be like, this person is not right.
Yo, what is up with this dude? He just came out here to check the mailbox, son. What are you doing? Dude.
We're chilling with the lemonade on the patio. I keep seeing you check the mailbox. What's wrong with you?
Dude, yo, you hit a point, man. That's truth all day, every day. Lord God, brother, man.
I'm just starting to think about these ones that are functional, that are in our day all the time. Does that bring any up for you that are like little things you would never normally attach to safety, but human beings or men are out there doing it all the time?
I like when you said checking the phone and checking email, that's my thing right there. Right. And also for me, it's so I'm gonna okay. Fuck. Every day as a dad, as a non-custodial dad. Oh man, I think I'm safe by staying away. I think I'm safe by staying away. Because I have this fear that I'm working on that they're gonna leave me. Um, I'm gonna be hurt by them,
Mm.
um, by their mothers. I'm not enough for them. Um, I'm not an example for them.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought of safety is I'm gonna stay away. They're better off without me. Um, it's wild, it's odd. Well, no, it's not odd. It's valid. It's my shit. It's my shit. I know I'm working through it, and it's an everyday struggle for me. Like my isolation has me thinking I'm safe.
Isolation, and men do that. This is an epidemic level that men are isolating. So
Brother.
first of all, I'm going to slow down. Thank you for sharing that truth and depth. I can see how much it's in you. And I think that men are doing this all the time and have done it for generations. So for you as a non-custodial father, it may mean staying away. For my dad, I know you watch these sometimes. I love you. I know you did your best. I'll tell you every day of my life. From him, it meant, you know, he was told a lot by my mom that he couldn't take care of us the way she could, right? So it meant when he got home from work, he'd mess around with the papers in his office all the time. He's always paying bills or doing pay. It was just like, that's what dads do. They stay away even if they're there. They're not present even if they're there. They focus on work all the time. They're always on their email. They're always on their voice when they're at meetings or traveling a lot, because it's like, I'm not safe to take care of the kids. I could harm them, or I might be criticized by my partner, their mother. And then I'm away from the things that I feel validated in doing, paying the bills, working out, whatever it may be to provide, right? Or to feel good or be healthy. So I think that, and then of course there's absentee fathers left and right in this world. That's from fear. That's not because that person's an asshole. It's because they have no concept of how to be who they want to be for a kid or for a family. So they run. Running is not, running is is fearful, right? It's like,
it is. So
men are out there doing this all the time in various forms rather than just learning to fuck up and be okay. Or to mess up, or to be criticized, or have your kids say, "Screw you, Dad, I hate you." Like, I'm not a dad, I don't know this stuff, but we're often hiding, and I'm sure there'll be ways that I could hide once I'm in that position. So that's a hard one.
Thank you for that question, man. Thank you for the question, man. In this space, man, especially with these truths that we uncovered today in this session, what's a takeaway for men? I mean, for this specifically, I'd like to open this up for men and women.
Sure.
For in whatever way a person that's watching this identifies, what are the ways that can promote the thinking and thoughts of safety? Maybe a suggestion by each of us, and maybe we break this up in a part two if this goes over 15 minutes, which we probably will, and I'm good with that. What are the ways that we could tackle safety? I'll kick it off, Joe. My thought is that being with like minds, like spirits, like tendencies, because that will promote a sense of belonging, which will eliminate the isolation, and that will also promote a sense of the permission to be vulnerable, to really allow oneself to be oneself fully and authentically, completely. So that the concept of safety becomes more true than a mirage. So group, a connected group of like minds, like spirits, like bodies. That's mine. That's my
Yeah, yeah. Are we doing one each, or is that how we roll?
yeah, we can do one each, and maybe we
Okay.
do a part two to this because this is. And if you have Joe, listen, man, if you got a couple, man,
Right.
bring it, man.
Well, I like what you shared. I was thinking something similar, where it's like get into yourself into a space where you can admit your truths and you can hear other people who have the same fears, concerns, worries, challenges, obstacles, because the idea of I'm the only one is one of the most unsafe feelings we have. The
Mm,
idea of like, oh, this is normal.
right.
So many people want to be normal, which I'm not a big fan of being normal, as you
What
can
is
tell
that
probably.
anyway? What is
But
that?
what we're really saying is I want to know I'm safe to belong.
Mm,
Right? So, so, and then what I also want to do is I want to highlight the paradox. If you're only spending time around people who are like mind, like heart, like spirit, like activities, that could very well also be a way to insulate yourself from others, and that could be a play for out of lack of safety. I think
mm,
about like, look what's happening
yes.
on social media. It's like, well, I'm going to custom tailor my stream to only be around other Trump supporting conservatives. And I only want to hear this information. I don't want to spend time with them because I don't think I'm safe around the other.
Mm,
Right. So I actually want to go the other direction,
yeah.
especially if you are someone who's intellectually felt safe your whole life, like me. And I think a lot of, not all by any means, because there's all kinds of variances and intersections even within what I'm about to say, but like as a heterosexual, cisgendered, middle class white man,
Mm,
there's all kinds of other intersectionalities in there. There's religious, there's regional, there's elitism, there's academic, it's like there's plenty, right?
right.
Social class. But let's just say, I think for most of us, we've walked around feeling, at least physically, and probably financially, pretty safe our lives.
Mm,
I actually think it's time to challenge ourselves, become less fragile, become more resilient, become more robust, and go into space treading lightly.
right.
That is not typically quote unquote our space. So spend time with those that are not like you, who don't think like you, who haven't had similar life experiences.
Right.
See what other people are walking through this world with, which helps me at least have more gratitude for where I'm at, feel more grounded, feel more centered, and appreciate the privileges I have. And then I
Mm.
actually feel safer in this life, right? So that's the one of the things I want to say about like allyship work or intersectionality work as someone who looks like and lives like me is experiencing other people's lives, getting a view into that life
Right.
actually ends up with me feeling more grounded and safe a lot of the time.
Mm.
So
Damn, brother.
rock your
Thank you
boat.
for that, man.
Yeah, rock your boat a little bit.
Right.
Challenge your beliefs. Challenge the way you see the world. When you expand your worldview, when you have a deeper understanding of what's going on in the world,
Right.
I appreciate my situation more. I feel safer. And I stop making up so many stories about what the other is thinking and doing.
I
And I
say.
see them more like, oh, they're like me, and I can help them rather than fear them.
I say.
I can
Yep.
help me in the process. It's like that's a big one, I think, is like actually get outside of your comfort zone.
Mm. So what I'm hearing is from both of us is get in your comfort zone, then get out of it to
Yeah.
integrate.
Have both. Instead of so many of us are walking around in like this liminal space all the time of like, I don't want to challenge myself, but I can't actually be comfortable. I
Right.
don't want to face my fears, so I'll numb them. It's like this back and forth, and there's this little lane. Well, there's this huge lane out here to live in, and a
Right.
lot of us are just boop, right in here. So
Yep.
it's expand and
Pigeonholed,
go in both directions.
brother. Golly, boy. Oh my damn. Oh my damn. Oh my damn. Oh my damn. Yo, man. Listen, this is why I love these conversations with you because I feel like I think we bring out the best in each other.
Oh
And
yeah, dude, you say stuff all the time. I'm like, oh, that's the gold nugget. Let me strip out and make it sound like mine.
yeah, oh, bro, I feel the same with you, bro. I'm like, yes, man. Yes. Yo, Joe hit it on the head right there. I'm using that, son. And look, man, I'm gonna put it out there to people. You're seeing this, you're following either one of us or the other. Follow us both because listen, there's gems of wisdom. Like Joe, you've been putting out powerful pieces recently,
Thank you.
brother. Powerful pieces. And listen, when you're listening to this, leave some comments below. I love, not some, I'm not going to quantify it. Leave a comment below. What's safety for you?
Right.
What is it? What does that mean? What, like, let's start to dive into these concepts, because the more we as a collective can dive into these concepts, the more that we can figure out what they mean for us. And then we can get comfortable, then get uncomfortable, and integrate what we learn, integrate with others. And then we become a society where there is more vulnerability, more communication, more integration. And it's a beautiful, powerful thing, man. So with that, man, we're going to sign out. We'll be back in another episode very soon. You know how we do. Joe, brother, man, you already know. Listen. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I love this brother, man. I care for you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Any last words before we wrap up?
Oh, no, man. I appreciate you, and I'm glad you're in my life, and thanks for doing this.
Oh, man. Appreciate you. Till next time, everybody. Peace.